You've shared something deeply personal. Maybe it was a dream you were afraid to say out loud, or a struggle in your marriage that was eating you alive, or even just how you really felt about someone in your family. And at the moment you said it, it felt like relief, like you were finally being honest, finally being seen. But then weeks later, maybe months later, those same words come flying back at you. In an argument, in a concerned conversation, or worse, whispered about behind your back at a family gathering where everyone suddenly gets quiet. When you walk into the room, and you stand there thinking, why did I even say that? Why did I trust them? I've been there. I remember telling someone I considered a close friend about a really difficult season in my marriage. I thought I was being vulnerable, opening up. She listened, nodded, said all the right things. I felt heard. But months later, when we had a falling out over something completely unrelated, she used every single thing I'd told her, every private moment, every vulnerable confession to paint me as the problem to our mutual friends. Suddenly, I was the difficult one. I was the one who couldn't keep it together. That betrayal taught me something I wish I'd learned decades earlier. Not everyone who listens deserves to hear your truth. And here's what I discovered through years of therapy, research, and honestly, just getting burned enough times. There are 5 specific things that, when shared carelessly, drain your power, invite manipulation, and leave you vulnerable to people who don't have your best interests at heart. Now, I'm not talking about becoming cold or secretive or building walls so high that nobody can reach you. I'm talking about something much more powerful. Protecting your peace by choosing wisely. Who gets access to your inner world? If you've ever felt burned by oversharing, if you've ever replayed a conversation and thought I shouldn't have said that, if you're tired of people using your words against you, this video is for you. Stay with me. Before we dive into the 5 things you should protect, we need to talk about something important: the difference between vulnerability and oversharing. Because these 2 things get confused all the time, especially for women. Vulnerability real. Healthy vulnerability is what researcher Dr. Brené Brown has spent her career studying. And what she found is this: vulnerability is sharing your truth with people who have earned the right to hear it. It's selective. It's intentional. It builds genuine connection because it's reciprocal and safe. Oversharing, on the other hand, is giving your truth to anyone who'll listen. It's telling your life story to the checkout clerk, dumping your relationship problems on your coworker, or posting every emotional moment on social media. It feels like connection in the moment, but it's not. It's actually a way of seeking validation from people who haven't proven they're safe. And here's where the science gets really interesting. A 2019 study published in Psychological Science found that premature disclosure, sharing intimate details too early or with too many people, actually activates the brain's reward centers temporarily. You get that little dopamine hit, but over time, it weakens your emotional resilience. It makes you more vulnerable to manipulation and emotional exhaustion. Translation: telling everyone everything might feel good right now, but it leaves you exposed and drained later. And for women navigating midlife, dealing with identity shifts, relationship changes, career transitions, maybe caring for aging parents while still raising kids, this distinction matters even more. You're in a season of rebuilding, of redefining who you are outside of all the roles you've played. And you don't need people undermining that process with their opinions, judgments, or hidden agendas. So let's talk about what to protect. 5 things you should never share. First, your next chapter. Let's start with this one, because it's probably the most common mistake we make. You're finally ready to make a big change. Maybe you're thinking about going back to school, starting that business you've been dreaming about for years, or leaving a job that's been draining your soul. Or maybe, and this is a big one, you're considering leaving a relationship that hasn't been working for a long time, and because you're excited, or scared, or just need to process it out loud, you start telling people, your sister, your co-workers, that friend from book club who always seems supportive. And almost immediately, the doubt starts creeping in. Not from you, from them. Are you sure that's smart at your age? What if it doesn't work out? You know the economy is really bad right now, right? But you've been together for so long. You should just stick it out. Here's what's happening beneath the surface, and this is backed by neuroscience. When you announce your goals and plans prematurely before you've actually started working toward them, your brain releases dopamine as if you've already achieved them. Dr. Derek Sivers did a famous TED Talk about this. He found that talking about your goals actually reduces your motivation to accomplish them because your brain has already gotten the reward. But it gets worse. The more people you tell, the more opinions, doubts, and subtle jealousy you invite into your space. And here's the part nobody talks about. Some of those people, even people who love you, have their own fears and limitations, and they'll project those onto you disguised as concern. I am just worried about you really means your bravery makes me uncomfortable with my own lack of it. So here's what you do instead. Share your dreams with people who have proven, not just said, but proven that they're in your corner. People who celebrate your wins without making it about themselves. People who don't need you to stay small so they can feel big. Let your results announce themselves. Move in silence, not because you're being secretive, but because you're being strategic. Second, your emotional triggers. This one is subtle but so important. You tell someone, maybe during a vulnerable moment, maybe after a glass of wine, I really can't stand being dismissed. Or I hate when people talk over me, or being ignored makes me feel invisible. And in that moment, they nod. They seem understanding. They might even share something similar about themselves. But then, the next time you have a conflict, guess what they do? They dismiss you. They talk over you. They ignore your texts for days. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. People remember your vulnerabilities. And some people, not all, but some will absolutely use them as leverage when it serves them. A 2020 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals with manipulative tendencies specifically listen for others' emotional triggers and vulnerabilities. They collect that information, and then they weaponize it during conflict. It's not always conscious. Sometimes it's instinct, but it happens. Now, I'm not saying you should never share your feelings. That's not healthy either. What I'm saying is this. Be selective about who gets backstage access to your emotional world. There's a difference between processing emotions and handing someone a manual on how to hurt you. Talk to your therapist. Write in your journal. Call that one friend who's proven over years that she handles your heart with care. But don't hand your triggers to people who haven't earned that level of trust. Because your weakness becomes your power the day you stop advertising it to everyone. Third, your financial reality, money. This is where so many of us mess up, and it creates tension in ways we don't even realize. Whether you're doing really well financially or you're struggling to make ends meet, talking about it openly creates problems. If you share that you're doing well, maybe you got a promotion, or your business is finally profitable, or you made a smart investment, here's what happens. Some people will feel small by comparison. Others will feel envious and secretly hope you stumble. And family? Oh, family will start looking at you like you're an ATM with feelings. Suddenly, Every family crisis becomes your responsibility because you can afford it. Every cousin, niece, or sibling with a small favor comes knocking. And if you say no, you're selfish. You've changed. You think you're better than everyone. But here's the flip side. If you share that you're struggling financially, people start treating you differently too. You become the one who needs help, the one who's pitied, the one who gets the sympathetic head tilt and the "how are you really doing?" at every gathering. Even worse, some people will use your financial struggles against you. Well, maybe if you made better choices. Or I would never let myself get into that situation. The truth is, money changes how people see you, even when it shouldn't, even when they love you. So here's the boundary. Keep your financial situation private. Let people wonder. Let them guess. Because the less they know about your bank account, the more they have to respect you for who you are, not what you have. Silence about your income isn't secrecy. It's self-defense. Fourth, your family and relationship problems. Listen closely, because this one is huge. And it's where I see women hurt themselves the most. No one outside your home needs to know the details of what happens inside your home. You have a fight with your husband, it's bad. Things are said. Maybe he was wrong. Maybe you were wrong. Maybe you're both just exhausted and taking it out on each other. And in your anger or hurt, you call your mom, your sister, your best friend, and you tell them everything. Every hurtful thing he said, every way he's disappointed you, every moment you've questioned whether you should even stay. They listen. They validate. They say, "You deserve better, and I never liked how he talked to you anyway." And then, because this is how relationships work, you and your husband make up. You talk it through. You remember why you love each other. You forgive. You move forward. But guess who doesn't move forward? Your mom, your sister, your best friend. They still hold that grudge for you. They still see him through the lens of that fight. And now every holiday, every birthday, every family gathering has this weird tension because you've forgiven him, but they haven't. Or worse, if it's a friend you vented to, they'll bring it up later. Remember when he did that thing? Are you sure you're okay? And suddenly, you're not just managing your relationship, you're managing everyone else's opinions about your relationship. Here's the psychological principle at play. Dr. John Gottman, who's studied relationships for over 40 years, found that when couples involve outsiders in their conflicts, it actually increases resentment and decreases the likelihood of successful resolution. Because now it's not just about you two, it's about everyone's perceptions. So here's the rule. Talk to people who can solve things, not people who can spread things. Work through relationship issues with your partner, a counselor, or a therapist. Not the group chat, not the family dinner, not social media. Your peace grows in silence. Your chaos grows in gossip. Fifth, every act of kindness you do, this one might sting a little, but it's important. You donate to a cause. You help a friend in need. You volunteer. You show up for someone who's struggling. And that's beautiful. That's genuinely good. But then, and be honest with yourself here, you post about it, or you mention it casually in conversation, or you make sure people know how generous, how helpful, how self-sacrificing you are. And the moment you do that, something shifts. That act of kindness, it stops being about the person you helped. It becomes about you, about your image, about making sure everyone sees how good you are. There's a reason the saying goes, do good and forget about it. Because if you're doing good for validation, for applause, for recognition, it's not really kindness. It's marketing. It's ego. The humblest, most genuinely kind people I know don't talk about their generosity. They just practice it. quietly, consistently, without needing anyone to see. And here's what happens. When you brag about being good, people don't see generosity. They see manipulation. They think, oh, she's trying to look better than us, or she needs everyone to know she's the hero. And now your good act has created bad energy. Do good quietly. Let your character speak for itself. Let karma post the receipts. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I understand all this logically, but why is it so hard for me to actually do it? Why do I keep oversharing even when I know better? And that's the right question. Because for women, especially women in their 40s and 50s, this isn't just a habit. It's how we were trained. We were raised to connect through sharing, to be the good woman who's open, accommodating, helpful, the one everyone can talk to, the one who holds space for everyone else's emotions. We were taught that closeness means total transparency, that if you're not sharing everything, you're being cold, distant, fake. But here's the shift that needs to happen, and this is crucial. Boundaries aren't betrayal. Privacy isn't coldness. Dr. Harriet Lerner, in her book The Dance of Connection, explains that women often mistake enmeshment for intimacy. We think that being close to someone means having no walls, no filters, no private thoughts. But that's not intimacy. That's enmeshment. And it's exhausting. True intimacy, the kind that lasts, the kind that's healthy, requires discernment. It requires you to be selective about who gets full access to your inner world. And here's what happens in midlife specifically. You're in a season of massive transition. Maybe your kids are leaving home, or they've already left. Maybe your marriage is shifting, or it's ending. Maybe you're rediscovering who you are outside of being someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's daughter. And in that vulnerability, it's so tempting to seek validation by oversharing, to prove you're still relevant, still interesting, still worthy of attention. But what you need isn't more people knowing your business. What you need is discernment, wisdom, the ability to say, not everyone deserves this level of access to me. You're not being fake by keeping certain things private. You're being wise. Let's get into the science for a moment, because understanding what's happening in your brain when you overshare will help you stop doing it. When you share something personal, especially something emotional, your brain's reward system lights up. The ventral striatum, the part of your brain associated with pleasure and social bonding, releases dopamine. It feels good. You feel seen, validated, connected. But here's the problem. That dopamine hit is immediate and temporary. And over time, if you're constantly seeking that validation through oversharing, you're actually training your brain to need external approval to feel okay. Neuroscientist Dr. Matthew Lieberman at UCLA has studied this extensively. He found that people who chronically overshare on social media, for example, show decreased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for self-regulation and impulse control. Translation: the more you overshare, the harder it becomes to stop oversharing. It becomes a cycle. You share, you get validation, you feel good temporarily, but then you need more validation. So you share more, and the cycle continues. But here's the good news. You can retrain your brain when you practice selective sharing, when you sit with the discomfort of not immediately telling everyone everything. You strengthen your prefrontal cortex. You build emotional resilience. You learn to validate yourself instead of constantly seeking it from others. And over time, you'll notice something powerful. The less you share, the more grounded you feel, the more peace you have, because you're not constantly waiting for external approval. You're not constantly managing everyone's opinions. You're just at peace. Now, I need to give you the other side of this, because like everything in life, there's a shadow side. If you take this advice too far, if you become so guarded, so private, so protective of your inner world that you never let anyone in, you risk something equally damaging: isolation. Because here's the truth. Humans need connection. We need to be known. We need to be seen, even in our messy, imperfect, vulnerable moments. If you build your walls so high that no one can reach you, you'll be safe from betrayal, sure, but you'll also be lonely. You'll miss out on the deep, soul-nourishing friendships that only come from mutual vulnerability and trust. So the goal isn't to trust no one. The goal is to trust selectively. Here's the litmus test. Has this person proven they can handle your truth with care? Not just once, but consistently over time. Do they celebrate your wins without making it about themselves? Do they support you in your struggles without judgment or gossip? If yes, share. Let them in. Build that trust deeper. If no, protect. Keep your peace. Don't feel guilty about it. You're allowed to have circles of trust. Not everyone gets the same level of access, and that's not wrong. That's wisdom. So let's bring this all together. Here's what we've covered. Number 1, protect your next chapter. Your dreams, your plans, your big moves, they don't need everyone's opinion. Share with people who've earned the right to know, and let your results speak for themselves. Number 2, guard your emotional triggers. Don't hand people a manual on how to hurt you. Save those conversations for people who've proven they'll protect your heart, not exploit it. Number 3, keep your financial situation private. Whether you're thriving or struggling, money talk creates tension. Let people respect you for who you are, not what you have. Number 4, handle relationship problems privately. Don't involve outsiders in conflicts that you'll eventually resolve. Protect your peace by keeping your home matters at home. Number 5, let your kindness speak for itself. Do good quietly. You don't need applause. You already have peace. And here's the bigger truth beneath all of this. You're not broken for wanting privacy. You're not cold for having boundaries. You're not fake for being selective about who gets access to your inner world. As psychologist Dr. Dana Jonta says, boundaries aren't walls. They're the gates and fences you allow to move, to open, and to close. You control the gate. You decide who gets in. And there's nothing selfish about that. It's self-respect. Privacy isn't secrecy. It's wisdom. It's protection. It's power. If this message resonated with you, I want you to do something. Share this video with another woman who needs to hear it, especially if she's in a season of rebuilding, if she's been burned by oversharing, if she's tired of people using her words against her. And here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. What's one thing you wish you'd kept private? No judgment here, just learning from each other. I read every single comment, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button, because next week we're diving into something equally important: how to stop apologizing for taking up space. How to stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. And before you go, I want to leave you with this thought. The less you explain, the less you have to defend. You don't owe everyone your story. You don't owe everyone your truth. You don't owe everyone access. Some things are sacred. Your dreams, your peace, your privacy. Protect them like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. I'll see you in the next one.